Hello everybody, welcome to the second interview for SCC Live. Today we've got Maurizio from Slot.it. I'm sure many of you recognise him. First question for Maurizio today is obviously everyone knows him as Slot.it, perhaps less well known as his other manufacturer, Polycar. And Maurizio, if you'd like to maybe elaborate, we've got some exciting cars coming out this year. If you'd like to tell us about perhaps your plans with Polycar.
Yes, hi, and thank you for inviting me here first. First, one thing about Polycar. Not everyone here knows probably that Polycar in the 60s was in Italy what Scale X3 was, and luckily is still for the hobby in the UK, which is basically synonym for the hobby itself. Slot cars, unfortunately, not being a mainstream hobby. When I have to explain what I do for a living is, in Italy, that is, if I have tried to explain slot cars, they stare at you like, you know, and I have to say, do you remember Polycar or later Polystill cars? Yes, of course, everyone knows that. So Polycar was a very important brand back then, and we have recovered the brand, and this is why the Polycar thing. Polycar was also, and later Polystill, but we've got nothing to do with Polystill, was also pretty much into Formula 1, so it seemed to be a good choice for launching the Formula 1 line. We have the pleasure of having here Andrew Rowland, who has designed the Lotus and the gearbox that we have then jointly developed. And so you have probably seen the samples of the Lotus last year, and finally we have reached the stage where everything is ready for production. The car that you see here includes a few decoration mistakes, different colors of red, wrong tamper printing, but is a pre-production plastic car from the toolings that we're going to use for production. And so this is the first of a series of Formula 1 cars, historic Formula 1s, that we see in 2016, the March 701, and later the 711. I don't know if there are any other questions about Polycar. I'd be very happy to answer.
It's interesting what the kind of reaction to Polycar is in Italy. Is it stirring much reaction in there?
Do we need a microphone? No?
Okay. So, it's been very good actually. We've just had, I don't know if you've seen it on Slot Forum, a very nice Polycar day at the Libreria dell'Automobile, which means literally the automobile bookstore. If you go to Milano, and if you, of course, especially if you go there, if you're interested in the fashion stuff, you go to the center of Milan, and the Libreria dell'Automobile is pretty close. It's a highly specialized bookstore that's been there for 40 years, where you find literally thousands of books about everything that moves on Earth. And so there was a lot of interest, and especially, which is something which is very important for us, people that do not belong to the racers scene in Italy. Unfortunately, Italy is very racing oriented. The noble art of scratch building is really a bit neglected. If you post something about scratch building in the UK, you get a very warm and very deep and full of knowledge response here. In Italy, it's all about racing, especially about rules and bending the rules, possibly, together. But yes, we're very happy, and to answer your question. it's not mainstream, but it's something that brought back from wherever they were a lot of collectors and enthusiasts that we had not seen in a long time.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from Excel on the podcast? No?
It's taken quite a long time to get these Formula Ones to where you want them.
Yes.
Is that problems with the gearing?
Yes.
You race testing them now, so you know you're going to.
Yes. Yes. I don't know if you've seen well, you probably have seen especially the middle, the idle gear has to withstand more severe stress than I had thought in the beginning. So we had to redesign the gear itself and to choose I would say very high-tech plastic material in order to give it the strength that we needed. Yes, this is the whole gearbox itself originally had to be made in soft plastic. We realized that a stiffer plastic was needed in order to make everything work well. This stiff plastic means that we cannot snap in the bushings, but the bushing has to be assembled, if I can say it so more properly, I mean from a mechanical engineering point of view, and seated in their position.
They press it from the side rather than snapping from the top.
Yes, actually, there are four bushings in there, 2 for the rear axle, and they have to be pressed in from the inside, and 2 for the idle shaft. One is pressed in from the inside, the other one is pressed in from the outside and has a locking mechanism, so that once that it's in, it's locked in place. It took quite a lot of trial, error, and unfortunately a few tooling changes.
And the material is some sort of reinforcement.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, it's a sort of nylon with a very high percentage of fiberglass. It's extremely stiff.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay, moving back to Slot.it. Obviously you've got cars very highly thought of, generally considered for cutting edge, state of the art, in terms of straight out box racing performance. We race them at clubs for the car vehicle, well my personal car is the quickest, we'll work about that later on. But moving obviously forward, digital is a big thing, way to go. All the manufacturers have got their own systems, including themselves. We've seen a little bit of exchange of information with yourselves and Electric. How do you see that progressing in the future? Do you see the digital actually developing further?
I do, and I also hope so for the new generations, because I see that, for example, my son, he is not someone that goes to the club any often, but I think that he is of course interested enough in slot cars to race analog and digital, and I cannot take him alone as an example of the general public, but I think that the young generation, which is what we need to introduce to the hobby, are more interested in digital racing than in analog in general. And so I think digital, it will coexist with analog for many years, because it's much more expensive than analog, and so as an entry-level set, personally we do make sets, but unless one is already probably convinced that he loves the hobby, it's probably much easier to say, okay, I try and spend, say, £70 or £90 for a small set, rather than for a much more expensive box, which has a lot of technology and very good technology inside, but maybe probably a bit steep as an entry level. And, but digital for the home racer, and I see also for the club racer, has a lot to offer. So I think.
Do you ever think of a standardisation of the systems together into one system? I think we'll ever see a
Jeremy,
okay.
sorry.
Sorry?
I hear what you're saying.
Sorry, yeah. Do you just asking? Do you think you'll ever see a standardisation of the digital systems that are out there? Because obviously each manufacturer has brought their own out. So it's, you know, do you think it'll be like, I don't know, computer systems where ultimately you might just have the two, or do you think that's ever going to happen?
No.
No.
I think there are basically two major systems left, because Technical has had their own share of big problems, and Ninco Digital, I know that their rails haven't been, and the digital sets, I mean, they do not, let's put it this way, they do not get the level of support and sales lately than Carrera and Scale Extra do. We obviously work very closely with Scale Extra, but I don't think there will be a merge ever between the two, because they are totally incompatible system-wide. So we try to make sure that our cars run on Scale Extra and Carrera, so a oxygen chip car can run on Scale Extra and Carrera, but the two systems are too different to be compatible.
Anyone got any questions on the digital?
So just on club racing things, it seems to be on the digital side, the Ninco track seems to be a preferred option. Trying to get hold of the lane changes to then splice in the oxygen chips is proving extremely difficult. Are you, whether Ninco are looking at reducing them, and if their own system is not going to be supported in the long term, it's probably unlikely they'll continue with their own production. Do you see potentially any other solutions to producing that type of lane changer track, which seems to be quite popular?
This is a big problem for us, for digital, because like you said, we are not into the home racer market, with a few exceptions of course, but because we have, say, home enthusiasts that have even big oxygen layouts, but we're not into the mainstream digital racing scene for the home. And what we are doing, we have developed, but we are not, let me put it straight, we're not making toolings for that. We have developed a design for a lane changer, and because we need it at least to organize races. In the absence of Ninco lane changers, we have to find a way forward. So we have made 3D prototypes of this, which is 3 pieces of standard Ninco length, and they go inside in the track as if they were 3 standard Ninco pieces. The problem is that at this point, 3D prototyping is still very expensive for large pieces. So this is something that can be done for events, like for example the MA Ironman 24 months. But it's probably outside the reach of even the club, because we're talking about one piece like this costing more than £100. So you can't, unless you are very lucky, very fortunate club, you can think about putting 15 lane changers like that. Yeah, you're making a layout problem. And so this is a big question mark. And we need the 3D printing prices to get much cheaper than that, or to find alternative ways like wooden routed, which is not, however, really ideal. It's bandings in general.
So buy up Rico lane changes is your advice.
If you find them, yes. If you're in,
You're going to borrow their 3D printer here, so you can just knock out a few on the
I was just about to take a look.
Yeah, we'll see if they can test a few pieces.
Yeah.
Did Davic in France make
Yes.
all changes to
Yes.
fit tracks?
They do. They do. But the problem is that they're very bulky and heavy. And so for gloves, it's okay. I mean,
That's seven it's just within.
yeah, Gaydon lane, Gaydon Tober has got wooden lane changes now in its track, and they work well, and it's fine. But for a club, it can be a viable option. But if you have to organize events like, for example, they must 24 hours, you just can't lay them on the floor, so they have some disadvantages. On the other hand, in my opinion, if I can say so, the scale extra lane changers, having worked with the three systems, Ninko, Carrera, and scale extra lane changers work like most. But the gauge is different from Ninko, so we're back to square one.
Well, carrying on the theme, obviously, effective digital advances. Obviously, with electric, effect developed this new chassis, and obviously there is the aftermarket area that you believe is developing with this 3D print and so on and so forth. Would you like to just explain a bit about the plans for that for the future?
Sure. I brought two samples here. We've designed at this point 4 chassis that are ready for scale extra. One is the Aston Martin Vantage GT3. The other one is the Pendle, and 2 more ready cars, the Audi Quattro and the Delta S4. These 2, the ready cars, are compatible with our own 4-wheel drive system, and they require all, of course, when Scale Electric started designing the PCR cars, they lifted and changed the design of the cockpit so that all the slotted motors and motor mounted everything can fit underneath the cockpit with no modification. They're older cars and very deep interiors that are also a bit heavy. This little clip here to keep the cockpit in place, which works very well with Lexan interiors too. So it's a very nice thing to have. The further plan that we have is more rally cars for Scale Electric, including the Metro and the RS200, the Ford. But those are a bit more complex because the cockpit is actually, the chassis is actually attached to a part of the cockpit there, which makes things much more difficult for us to design the chassis. And then we'll make a couple of American muscle cars next.
Anybody? Good questions?
Who instigated that move? Was it Hornby coming to you, or were you going to Hornby?
They came here. They came to us last year. We've always had very good relationship with Hornby, which dates back to when we started making the SSD slotted specific chip, and they've always been very open. So we had already discussed several possibilities for cooperation. Then probably all stars aligned, and last year they came to us and said, why don't we make things? And it's a great idea. I mean,
You appreciate that races have been on at Hornby for years.
sorry?
Races have been on at Hornby to make something for clubs that would race better. And they always say no, we make toys. And people argue that we are quite a big part of the market. and they always deny that. So them coming to you is quite a big move.
It probably is, and it's a big move for us because we are obviously very happy to be working with Hornby.
It saves some of us a lot of work as well, because we don't have to get the saws out and the drillers out.
Throw the bits away.
And then make posts up to fit an HRS chassis and put it in.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. Also, I must say, we've always said it's a nice company to work with. I mean, I'm not saying this because there may be someone from Hornby here, but
They're all right, they're not here, they're not here.
yes, but it's really a nice company to work with. And they've always been very open. So.
Any more questions?
We haven't always found that talking to them, over the years, trying to get them to do things that we think they should do. They've always kind of neglected us. We think.
Probably,
Adrian might have made a difference.
Sorry?
Adrian may have made a difference.
Maybe, yes. I mean, Adrian is certainly knows
Yeah, we appreciate
the
it.
best of both worlds. So,
Okay.
maybe the fact that we have started working for them, with them on a few other projects. They reached the conclusion that they can trust us as a partner, because from Hornby's point of view, for us it's easy. We design a chassis and they make it. But for them, it's, as you said, a big move. So they probably had also to be.
It's a bit humbling.
Well, it's actually probably a different market that they can reach. So it's
The market they've neglected for years, really. Because all scale axes, you put them on a shelf and you don't race them. They're no good for racing, they're just for looking pretty on a shelf.
It wasn't home market, it was a toy.
I think that really, for what they are supposed to do, they are excellent. They're not supposed to be raced like Slot.it.
No.
But for the home racer, they really do their job well. It's very different. And we have customers that are home racers, and they like our cars, but they have a different approach, really. So I really think that for what they are supposed to do, Scalex are very good. Of course, they're not racing cars in the slot racers probably sense. They're the club racer.
It's a bit like two different hobbies, really.
Sorry?
It's almost like two different hobbies in a sense, really.
Yeah.
People that race at home and
Yes.
people that go to clubs and race with.
For example, I mean, most people don't race with magnets. We have to use magnets because, and we get asked, why do you put magnets in the car? Because many of our customers still use them. Because, so.
Okay. If there's no more questions.
DTM.
Yes.
Come on.
Just one here.
Which one is that, the
This
Alpha?
is the Alpha. We have finished the design of the car. Design is final, and we are currently tooling the molds. So we expect in May, probably end of July, to be able to put the first plastic prototype on track.
What configuration are you going to specify for the DTM Taurus?
Not sure yet, because they will all be four-wheel drive compatible. This is four-wheel drive. This is a working car. I mean, if we had a track here, we could drive. But
Plenty of tracks.
sorry?
Plenty of tracks here.
Yes. Yeah. We can do it later. Now that because with less people around, we can do it because this is very fragile. And so, and the Calibra is also four-wheel drive. The only problem is cost. Four-wheel drive car is more expensive, and so I don't know whether the average consumer of slotted cars would rather save say probably €10 on the car, and if so desired, put the four-wheel drive system in, or rather buy the a lot would depend also on the Audi four-wheel drive, and that was the whole line. We were making spares for the rally cars.
So bring it out as a standard, and then.
Yes, we have decided.
Yeah, that'd be.
What made you decide to put all this effort into producing four-wheel drive? Because you didn't have to.
No, not at all.
Some people even sceptically now.
Of course, and maybe they're right. Because for LMP, I've always been quite clear. There may be situations, like for example, home or a very slippery track where four-wheel drive do have an advantage. But in cases where you have a lot of grip, it is probably not an advantage. However, it's a system that works well. It's not a joke. There were cars in the 60s with four-wheel drive that could barely move on the track. This is something that works well. And there was no other reason, probably, than the reason that you see a mountain and say, let's see if I can climb it. It's there.
It's a personal thing for you.
Yes. And to tell the truth, the idea of the clutch bearings have been around. Well, the first prototype that I made was in the late 90s on a S6 Auto Quattro. I went racing at the club with the car. So
I saw that car.
Sorry?
I saw that car.
Yeah. It was a difficult car to. But
very special bearings in the front.
Here, not very special. Just unidirectional bearings, commercial unidirectional bearings, HF0408, I think is the code. They're pretty common. The idea was that actually it's, as far as I know, the best system to make a four-wheel drive work is in slot car, because there's no differential. And so first, it was a personal challenge. But second, we needed to make something that was not a disappointment, because one can accept a car which is as fast or slightly slower because it's cooler or whatever, but it must work well, it must make sense. It will certainly make more sense in a rally car rather than on an LMP, but Audi chose to make an LMP car with four-wheel drive.
So there's a big market for this in Spain.
Hopefully, we hope.
Sure.
Earlier this year, you took over the 24-hour race at Salzburg Maggiore. Was that a
Yes.
success for Slot.it? Do you plan to repeat?
Sure, we do. Yes, we will be there next year, and I mean, if everything goes like from what I can see now, but certainly yes, it's something that we will continue moving forward with the guys of Slot.it. You been to South Majority this year?
No.
No.
Each year, I think, maybe next year.
Oh, yeah. We'll be there.
Okay.
We'll be there.
I know some people who wanted the answer to that question, so I've asked it for them. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, is there any more questions? No? All right, well, thank you, Maurizio, for coming today. I'm sure you'd all like to show your appreciation.